Yo, what's up? Ursula says I'm not allowed to stream for you guys.
No.
Unfortunately. So, it was nice knowing you guys. I did the thing. I did it. Is anyone actually here? I need to check that first before I show my face. I need there to at least be someone. Oh, there's 4 of you. Okay. All right, I'll show my face for 4 of you. If I remember how to stream. We're back. You didn't even know we left, but we did. We've been gone for like a week. If you don't know, we got a Kickstarter going on. I forgot to announce it. I did it on not critique stream, on the community tab. But it's for an asexual anthology. So yeah, it's got a bunch of cuties, cute little guys that contributed to it. And I would love to pay them more, so in order to do that, I need to actually have the books printed. We're close, but so far, I think we have like 2 days left on it. So, yeah, I have to say that up front. Now I can get into the actual critique stream. Also, hi Cypress. I'm here but at work, so I may respond slowly. That's fair. Valid even. I'm not gonna burp. I'm gonna burp. Oh my goodness. What did I do? It's been a while. I'm sleepy. We took the red eye home. And I didn't sleep at all. And then I got home and I slept for an hour, and then I went to bed and I slept a normal amount. So I don't know. I cheated. I cheated the system, and got a free night without sleep. I'm tired, but like I'm not like exceptionally tired. It's weird. Hello. Hello to you too. What are we doing today? So we are doing the critique stream, which is where we critique patrons, who give the money. we give you some thoughts on the writing and art and stuff and comics, and there was a lot of writing this month. It's a monthly thing. Yeah, there's a lot of writing this month. That was kind of wild. Haven't read in forever. We had like no power this morning, so that was fun. That was fun to figure out. I'm early too. But Cypress is here, so like I can say my bit. I can do my bit. Maybe I should open it. But then Ursula will be mad. She'll be like, don't open things. Ever. She's in the corner making faces at me. She's judging me, guys. Okay. So yeah, let's just... What did I do? I lost everything. I just moved the chat and everything closed. Chat, why would you do that? You're the one that did Divine Retribution, right? That it said no. Yeah. You're responsible for divine retribution, right, Cypress? Right. And it's prose, right? I remember having the conversation of being like, is this a prose or a comic? And I completely forget which one it is. I think it's prose. Because you said it's for a book. And usually you would say it's for a comic if it was for a comic and not for a book. So that's valid. Yep, it's prose. Okay. I got it all in my head correctly. Correct. Yeah, it's been a while. I remember reading all of the outlining stuff too for this, right? Yeah, it's hard for me to remember what I said before, so we're going based on what I'm looking at now. Just looking over it again. I'm sorry, I'm just making faces and saying, Like it's interesting to like start seeing like things take form, I guess. The main comic you made comment last time was the descriptions throughout the scenes and how I could prove on that. Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah, I did notice that sort of thing. I think you do a good job when you are describing characters. I think that was you. I'm getting you. I read two things back to back, and I'm making sure I'm not merging them together. Basically, is what's happening here. Even though they were very different, I don't know why they're kind of blurring in my mind. So I'm just making sure I'm looking at my correct notes. Yeah, okay. When you started like getting more into it, there was some good descriptions that were happening. Specifically of the one character. Yeah. I'm so good at names. The Ember thing. I'm trying to specifically find the good descriptions for you. Yeah, Sabria. Yes. I think you got into it pretty good when you were describing, her. It did stand out to me. Yeah, okay. Yeah, when you moved into, raising from a long sofa, closing the book she was previously reading. was a woman. Yeah, I think you did a good job in here specifically. Yeah, when you were describing her, I think what it is, that I definitely noticed as you it's kind of from like this point and a little bit onward, but not like fully consistently. I think your prose got a bit stronger. I find you do well in dialogue to keep things kind of like varied in how you just basically just how you arrange words and stuff, right? Like when you're outside of your dialogue, things tend to be a lot more stuck on like one sentence structure. But like as you moved into the dialogue and that description, I think you got out of it a bit more, which was good. Yeah. Yeah, I think you do a lot better when you're describing people, and when you're in dialogue. I find, when you're describing action, like of any kind, not just like, but by action I mean like any verbing that is occurring, not like action scene kind of action. I find that when that happens, you get into a very monotonous kind of sentence structure. Still, I don't know if this is a still thing, because I forget what I was saying last time I looked at this. Yeah, well, you really you fall out of it you fall out of it in a good way when you're describing the characters. Um, just trying to get to a point where I was feeling it. Oh no, Alexa's popping off. Yeah. Because now that I'm looking at it, like maybe it's not. I don't know where I was seeing it. Okay, in like the section that comes after Agira says our guests have arrived, the first sentence is okay. Well, even the first sentence follows that kind of same structure. It's very like a small bar was tucked in the corner of the room. A section of the room protruded out, transitioning into a conservatory. The if is good. Plants lined every wall. They hung from the ceiling. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to think of a way to like say this that because right now it's very like like there's like a certain pace to like the structure that's very like nounded verb, nounded verb, nounded verb, but like every sentence kind of comes down to that, like when you when you boil it down. But it's very like it becomes like noticeable at some point, so that it starts feeling like a list of things um that got a bit monotonous. And I think when you do go out of it, you fall into passive voice a lot as well. Still maybe. I think early on I noticed a lot of like more passive voice, and then I noticed a lot of like very simple, repetitive sort of sentence structure. Um, mm-hmm. Um, yeah, and I think it still kind of feels like distant from the characters, where like you have like dialogue that's a lot more expressive, whereas like the prose isn't quite like bringing out the same like personality as the dialogue is. Yeah, it feels a lot more dry than where you're having people like talk and interact. But like when like specifically the one description with Sabria was good, and I think like I'm like bringing like all of this up, and it's sort of like while I'm saying this, it feels like I'm just focusing on like the like word order and structure and stuff, and it feels like weird to fixate on this because there's like so much more to like a story or whatever. But I think this is like something that's just generally like affecting how the story and like pace comes across. Like I think it's like I think even if the story has like a generally good pace outside of this, it's just so difficult to kind of like see it through this, where like the characters are very like it's like a bit of a like a domino effect kind of thing, where because things are distant, I'm also not fully getting the the emotional arc of the scenes as well as I could be. Like it's not it's getting like a little lost in like it's hard to follow kind of where people are at when there's not all of that sort of brought into the writing and like within like the prose sections of it, because like it's not as engaged and it affects the rest of the story. Yeah, basically it's also like it's kind of the issue that's like constantly with prose is just it's very like the pace is going to be like entirely dependent on how like on a very prose level how things are written, right? um Yeah. Because that's kind of where you end up controlling like the pace for things is within like how each paragraph is structured and stuff. I think if I pull back kind of generally from it, and try and take on like the scene as a whole, which I can do. I do think so. Is this like there was like a note at the beginning, a chunk of this chapter. This is the end of the first chapter. Like I think it's hard to say what's going what is or isn't missing from it because I don't have the beginning, so it's harder for me to tell like where everything came from. I think this what I was reading, like it didn't feel first chaptery in a way. It could very well be like it just feels like it's getting into a lot of nitty gritty things and a lot of setup, and setup is good. Like obviously you're gonna set up things in your first chapter, but it doesn't feel very like establishing of like kind of the main character and her deal. It's getting into kind of bigger things, but maybe that's okay. I don't know. I think it just was a lot, and like it could work if I was able to follow emotions more. There would be more of like a movement to the scene, or if this was a little more focused as a scene. Chapter 1 was pretty long anyways, debating on moving the end of the chapter up to earlier on. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's hard to say. I think the focus, there just needs to be like a bit more of a stronger focus, whether it ends up being like on like the emotional character stuff and thoughts, or just like there's a cat, sorry, the plot in like one kind of aspect of the plot, like that could help. It's just a lot of information, where like you kind of have to like onboard a little bit, like give some things to grasp on to as like an outsider of the story, right? Because like when you first start into a story, you don't know anything, so I think I focus on saying like make sure like the characters are connected, you can connect to them emotionally, because like that's something that exists within our world, right? Where it is like kind of a place to grab onto as a reader, to be like, okay, I may not understand all of this magic and stuff yet, and the greater plot and what all of this means, but like I understand these emotions, so that can be like a stepping stone in order to bring people on into reading all of the other stuff and getting engaged within that. And I think just like in comics you can get away with this a lot more, because you have a much more like a jangling keys with like pretty art. You can just like info dump onto people and they clap their hands all excited because there's pretty pictures. But like prose, you need to like you are the jingly keys, I guess, in a way. Is there like any specific questions you need answered or would like answered about it? Because yeah, in general, I would just keep working at the prose. It doesn't have to be perfect. I think it just it just needs to like service the story like a little bit more, and just like keep practicing at your prose, because eventually it all clicks, and then it's easier to think about things on like a bigger scale, because like yeah, I guess it's like similar to like learning like any other fundamental, right? I don't think I have any questions. Your advice is really good. Thank you. It was fun reading. I enjoy it. I do enjoy reading all of your stuffs. All of you. It's very fun. Alright, so I will move on to someone else. Because there's AZ, which I don't know if they're showing up. If he's showing up. And then there's... I know you have a... Discord is not showing me your name. It is just saying N. And I don't think your name is N. N from Pokemon. Okay, it's just giving everyone's name is just like a single letter. So, Nali? Okay, Nali. Alright. If either of you are here, that would be great. Maybe work during the stream this month. Is it up? Okay, so they might be at work. But there will be pin stuff. So I guess I get to talk into the void, it would seem. Let's see. I will start with AZs because I know what I'm doing here. I know what I'm doing. That's why I'm opening it currently. I am opening it up to look at so that I can say things and words. Yep, it is open on my screen currently. Okay, now it really is. Going through chronic painstaking. Oh, right, yeah. Okay, so it's good. I liked it. Obviously, like, it's a little rougher this month, which is fine. Even your rough work is very fun to read. Such talent, my gosh. This is what Ursula says to me when I'm like, oh, rough draft, terrible. Yeah, I think, like, yeah, I do get the vibe, like you make note of this sometimes, that, like, things, like, are a little bit, like, clunky, or, like, the pacing is a bit off, like, emotionally or whatever. But I do think it's good. I think, as a more, like, kind of general, note, based on, like, all the other stuff I've read, I think I find that the plotline with, Cappy and Pearl, it feels like such a big plot thing, and, like, I tend to forget about it, so, like, until it shows up, And like, I don't think it needs to be like immediately revealed or anything, but I think the fact that like I know about it, like I know the secrets of the story, that I know this, and like I don't feel like there's as much foreshadowing, I guess would be the word, foreshadowing to this part, because it seems so integral to like him and like what he's doing. Like it seems so important, and I like where he gets to in this scene, like emotionally, in the scenes with Des and Pearl. Yeah, it just, I'm not sure what it is. It still feels a little out of nowhere, but like I get it. Like it would fit. It still kind of like throws me off, I guess. I'm not sure. It's like, yeah, it's not. Yeah, it just doesn't quite hit yet, I think. And that maybe is like a draft 3 thing to consider. I just think it might be like one of the many like ducks that need to be in a row as you're going through into the story. Yeah, because it's just, yeah, it does feel a little from left field kind of thing. But I like everything about it, like, obviously, and I think it could work as a reveal that's kind of like explanatory about things, but it just needs some amount of foreshadowing to it, I think, is the vibe I'm getting. I like the scene with Gil and Rory. Ugh. Dads, am I right? Cat running off. Reminds me of the guy next door. My dad next door. Oh my god. Angry Scotsman. Oh, what a life, isn't it? I think it's like the grumpy, Angie has his very set way of like how he sees the world, loves his son, but goes about it weird. You know? Tough. Man. Tough man.
Just tough man.
And then autistic small. That's me. Yeah, no, I like it. That's all I have to say. I think I will move on to the next one, because you know where I am. You can find me. And it downloaded, right? Because it's a PDF. Okay, so S5. S5 by N. From Pokemon. I'm zooming in because I got small eyes. Yeah, everything looks small because I have small eyes. That's how that works. Yeah. Okay, right off the bat. Wait, no, you're fresh. You're fresh. This is your first Your first thing. I like it. I like the I love me some monsters. I really liked when you were describing like the lore behind the Chimera. I thought that was really cool. I'm very interested in the world as a whole. Like I think it's like its own like kind of unique spin on these monsters. Like I enjoy it when stories do take from like mythical kind of creatures and then really make it their own, which is very fun. And yeah, like I think that was definitely something that stuck out to me. It's like, oh, cool. Very genuinely think it is cool. Okay, now the weird thing. Ursula's gonna die. It's just like, it's a very minor nitpick, because I like birds. But vultures aren't at the bottom of the food chain. Like they are, like they eat. It's just a weird, like not quite fitting metaphor. Because vultures, like, are kind of to the side of the food chain. Because, like, nothing actually eats vultures. Because they're gross and big. Some things, like, will steal their eggs and eat them. But otherwise, being like, I only know this because I've discussed this at length. If I was going to be turned into any animal, like, you have to become an animal, I would be a vulture. Because they have it so good. All you do is you eat garbage and you can't get sick off of it, and no one messes with you because you smell bad. But there's plenty of other kind of like things that would fit the metaphor of being at the bottom of the food chain, and being a detritivore, whatever. That was the weird one that I didn't want to start off on. Because it was very specific, and I read your first paragraph and I instantly, my bird autism sparked, and I had to quadruple check this and got distracted. Yeah, and oh my, I got distracted by a squirrel. There's a squirrel on our window. There is a squirrel. Oh, he's hopped over there now. He's so big. Oh, he's doing like the little ear scratch. So cute. Okay, I'm allowed to be distracted by a cute squirrel. Okay, it's leaving. Thank you. Where was I before I got distracted by a squirrel? Moving on from the vultures. Right. And I don't know where I was moving to. After that, I got into reading the other bits. And I'm not usually up this early. Well, good morning. I'm not usually up this early either. That's a lie. I usually get up half an hour before this. Sorry getting distracted. Hopefully Ursula cuts the whole Bones gets distracted by a squirrel and calls it that just to call me out. Also, hello Echo. Haven't seen you in a bit. Long time no stream. I have no clue where I was going after my vulture comment, but that's clearly not the only thought I had.
How did you feel about the story?
How did I feel about the story? Oh my goodness. I think, okay, so before I was reading, I was talking about cypresses, and I was getting them kind of, my takes muddled, and I think it's because there's a lot of world building going on in both of these stories that was not necessarily difficult to follow, but kind of okay, not difficult in a sense that it's too complicated to follow, more difficult in that it is just kind of a dry delivery of things. Like, I think there's a lot of scenes here, and there's a lot that you're setting up that I think you could set up in a lot more fun ways. There's a lot of telling and not showing in a very literal kind of telling sense of like the characters are just saying everything very outright, because like there's even like the scene where they all are like, okay, well why are you here, and they all describe their motivations for being there, which is like the kind of scene that works more with like additional subtext to it. I don't know if you did. Oh, I just did yours. So if you go back, you can listen to what I said, and you can, if you have anything to say. It was just before this, before I got distracted by a squirrel and all of this. You're in the middle. You're not the first. I talked about Cypress first. Then I talked about yous. And now I'm talking about the other one. Right. Yeah, them going around and talking about their motivations. And I think there is like some hints that there's more more to their reasoning than what they're specifically saying. But I still think there are more interesting ways to kind of get this across. Another like very on the nose kind of thing that I think you could you can still use this scene, but I think you could pull back a little bit more is when they're lining up. Is it the crowd? No, it's just trying to find it. Yeah, the most kind of like too on the nose, too telly is when he like said Madro says like, I'm so nervous, and then someone's like, tell me about it, and then they go on to like they're like the word, the specific trope to like describe this would be it's very maid and butler dialogue, where it's like these characters are all lined up to see the same person, and they obviously know everything about this person, but then they go on to say very like telly obvious things about him, like stuff that we don't know but they know. As you know, dialogue, maid and butler, where it's like I mean, being congratulated by the man who started it all, not to mention the leader of the new world. Like, it's very and the creature scholar. Yeah, it does feel like a bit forced. I don't know. I think there's better ways to get this across, and I think the nervousness on its own, you don't need to say like I'm nervous, because you should be able to show that through character, and you do show it through character too. I think, like, so you can just pull back on it and you would still get the same things across without being so like what was that? Oh, so blatant in your descriptions. Yeah, and it's just, there's a lot of just characters talking to each other about things, and I think you can just get these, you can move a lot of this information that you are sharing into more active scenes and use that to try and get the information across. Like a way that's still telly but more showy is to get into the information that they're talking about in your prologue section with your tapestry visual stuff. Like, there's just visual ways to get this all across, and that's definitely what I think, just in general, like, everything needs. Yeah, because it's an interesting thing where they're going on little missions to fight monsters and stuff. Like, let's just get into that and let's learn on the job a little bit more, I think, is probably what's happening. And I think another point too, like when they're talking about why they're all there, I think having them work together on a mission first before we get into this would really help establish things a lot more. You would get to see them in action and then learn more about them, which is generally like a better way to do that, because you have more to grasp onto, I guess. Yeah. Other than that, if you have any questions, you can leave them in the critique thingy, or you can direct message me, probably. I think my DMs are open. I don't know for sure, but I am contactable. You can at me in the Discord. Well, I guess it's Ursula's turn. I get to go free. Dad says it's my turn to judge you all. What stream is this? Critique? Woo! See, I did it. I'm taking my coffee. We got 2,000 subscribers. I'm playing.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, we hit 2K.
That's so cool. Guys, we hit 2K subscribers on the Scourge of 9 Point. That's so cool. Cause my coffee was leaking on it. I'm just leaving pools of sweat everywhere. I'm sweaty. I'm not that sweaty.
You know, but I've been gone somewhere super freaking
True. True.
I'd much rather be sticky than.
You know what? There's pros and cons, because being in the dry air, like my nose and throat hurt.
I prefer breathing to walking.
Yeah, true. Yes, because like here it being so humid, you go outside, you get sticky, but I can then go inside and put on a fan.
It's more like getting rashes.
Oh, true, yeah.
Yeah,
You do
that's
get
all I'm saying.
irritated
Sticky and
skin.
rashy. That's awful.
That does suck.
However, I like breathing better.
You prefer breathing
And
to
like a not
dealing
dry
with
nose, yeah.
yeah. To dealing with rashes. Yeah, that's the thing. The dry nose was killer. I'd wake up every morning and like
I just got a different type.
that's true. Yeah. I don't know if you guys can hear Bones rant about. We went to Calgary in Alberta, which has very dry air. So our noses were sandpaper inside. Okay. Hi. How are we? Do you guys like my mermaid shirt? Because
Roommate shirt.
what?
I thought you said roommate
Wait,
shirt.
this is my roommate.
But I thought you were sort of lesbian joke. Lesbian joke.
I wish. Well, all mermaids are lesbians, so. I need to revisit, but one NaNoWriMo I wrote. True. As the lesbian sea witch. I wrote for NaNoWriMo one year, I wrote a adaptation of The Little Mermaid. But it was set in space and there were space mermaids. I need to go back and read it and see what. I don't think I finished it, but I never finished anything. But I should go back and read it because it was cute. In my humble opinion. Alright, hi everybody. Sorry, I need to get set up. I need to shuffle the mic around. I need to transition. There we go. Alright. Alright, folks, who would like to go first? On the docket, we have Ink, we have Kuroe, we have Bed Squatter, Kairos, and BattleBox. Whomst among you is brave? I see BlanketGremlin / Bed Squatter. I see Kairos. I am so brave. Okay, let's go. Let's hecking go. Okay, so I'll try my best not to spoil the pages you have that are not public as of yet.
She is yelling at us.
Miku.
You know why?
Why?
Because she didn't eat.
Ma'am, eat your
Because
food.
I gave her food,
Uh-huh.
and she didn't. And then when I put Lear in there was a full bowl of food, so I think he ate it.
Oh,
You hungry?
Miku.
You finally hungry?
Her brother ate her food. Oh. Guys, eat your food, you dang cats. You cried at me forever. You cried at us both. Okay. Alright, so. Sorry, let me open your questions on my phone. Because I know you had specific questions. A lot of it was kind of general critique stuff, but I want to make sure I answer the specific ones. But I can tell you my thoughts.
Well, looks good.
One says it's good, so I don't think you need my opinion. Right. So overall, I liked it. It was good. No notes. No. Hi, Triple D. Okay, so, very... What are my thoughts? I really enjoyed what I read. There's such a good balance of, like, comedy in your story, where, like, there's some heavy themes happening, especially with, like, Harvey's story. Like, clearly there's some big drama going on. But there's a very good balance of, like, little funny interactions between the characters, where it helps kind of build their relationship, I guess. A big drama for sure, yes. But yeah, but the relationships between the characters is really good. There's lots of funny little character building moments where you really feel their personalities, I think, through like the little bits of comedy. Yeah, and the pacing is great. Yeah, I enjoyed what I read. It's all very intriguing. There's some good little mysteries you're setting up. Okay, what were your questions? Okay, right. So you're asking about page layouts. Was there anything confusing? Did you ever break the 180 rule? Was the panel order obvious? Right. And is there anything where the flow was weird? So overall, the paneling was great. Sorry, Miku's just staring at Bones going, me. She is a joob joob.
Looking like a joob joob.
Our little joob joob shaped cat. Okay. So, right. Overall, the panel stuff was great. There was one section where I reread it. It was this page here, going into Harvey's dream. Because I read through it. I followed the flow of the panels, or not the panels, the speech bubbles. Because I like how you've got... Oh my god, the cats are popping off.
Guys upstairs yelling alone.
Lear, everyone's downstairs. Buddy, why'd you put yourself in timeout? Lear,
Everyone's downstairs.
we're all here, buddy. Okay. Right. So I read through the dream, the first page of the dream, and I followed the flow because you've got a good flow here, where the highest bubble is the first one, and you can follow the connections of what Harvey's saying and little interjections from Tomas. And yeah, and so I read it and then I was like, wait, did I read that right? Just because it's leading from right to left instead of left to right. But I reread it and I was like, oh yeah, I did read that in order. So that was the one thing where I reread it, but I still think you did a good job. And I get why you did it, because you're leading from the right here down into it. So yeah. I guess if you really wanted to change it, you could maybe put the second Tomas speech bubble where he says weird how, like moving it down just a smidge, I think would help. But other than that, I think it works really well. And other than that, yeah, it was all very easy to follow. I found the paneling, like there's enough change throughout to keep it interesting. There's good pacing. Yep, I didn't have any confusion. I didn't find anything boring. Yeah, I think the page layouts are great. I knew it would be this page. Yep, totally. I was just, mindlessly reading through it and I got it right, so I think you've got the flow right. Yeah. Yeah, because what you're doing is you're using... I mean, you do have the connecting line to show Harvey speaking, but yeah, you're doing a good job with using vertical space to indicate like where the first bubble is, like who's speaking first. How was the dialogue and exposition? Right, so you kind of broke it up so it wasn't a big like exposition dump, which I think worked really well. Because it felt very... And here's the thing, I don't think there's anything wrong with exposition, because I think you were nervous about the last update you sent in, where there was that big kind of like explanation. I think it was Kai who did the big explanation, but anyways. And I don't think that's bad, because there are times when you need to do like a big explanation. And I think you've done a good job setting like the seeds of all these things, where it's like if you've read and you've paid attention, you kind of understand a lot of what's going on, and then the kind of exposition dump kind kind of solidifies what people are probably picking up. So I think you've done that well. And then in this update, I think you did a very good job with breaking it up and kind of pulling it into the dialogue and character interaction a bit more. Because I enjoyed the yeah, like for example, where Harvey here, when they're first talking in an earlier page, he asks, because he mentions that they're underground, and he asks, like, was this place really built in 6 months? And they're like, what? We've been here for like 20 years. And then later after his dream, and he's sitting in the bath, and he says, like, the city was destroyed 6 months ago. Like, it was 6 months ago, right? So I like how you're, instead of dealing with it right away, you're kind of letting Harvey sit with it and think about it. Because the initial, when he brings it up, it's like, oh, what do you mean 6 months? Yep, and then having him reflect on it, that's a very good, like, I think it's called a scene sequel, where you'll have an action scene, and action doesn't have to be like fighting action, but like you'll have a scene where things are introduced, new elements are brought in, the plot moves forward kind of thing, and then you have a scene sequel where it's a bit more reflective, the characters look back on what they've learned, and it lets the reader kind of digest what's been said. So I think this is a good example of that, where you're still giving new information, where we're learning that he thinks it was 6 months ago. He doesn't realize it's been decades. Assumedly. I assume it's been decades, but yeah. But then, so yeah, you're adding a bit more information, but we're still digesting, like, the information we've learned. Scene sequels are fun to write. They are. They're really nice. I like them a lot. Yeah, so I think exposition stuff works really well. I like the little... I really like the cleaning scene. Because it's good character stuff, but you've also got... So character stuff, I mean, I love the interaction between, is it Kyun? Is that his name? The main character? Kyung, that's it. Between Harvey and Kyung, where they're just fun together. They're very good. They're a good pair. Where Harvey's very serious and stoic, and Kyung is a goofball. Yeah, but I really like the cleaning scene because you're having this character interaction where we're getting them, like, compared to each other, kind of. But we're also, you know, we get the little bit about, he sees a little mechanical bit sticking out of the pants and steals it. And I love the bit where he steals it and he's thinking about it. And then in the background, Harvey is stealing his bed to wash it. That was really, really cute. Okay, Kyung-soo, or Kyung for short. Okay, perfect. Oh, I love this scene. The only thing I would say is I found this caption where it says stealing in progress, stealing success, and then the other version of it. I found it hard to read the white text on the white gray background. I would say make the black outline on the lettering thicker if you want to keep it, or you need to use a darker background. The stealing is so good. It's very good. It's a very good use of foreground and background within the panels. But yep. That was the only thing art-wise where I noticed a little issue. Yep, I didn't find any of the reactions confusing. The character stuff was all really easy to follow. If I had to infer or make a prediction, where do you think the story's going? My feeling is that I feel like Harvey. Right, so we have the big kind of light explosion thing from the prologue, and then from Harvey's dream. So I feel like these monsters that we keep seeing, I don't know, in my head, it's like a government conspiracy. I don't know. I don't know if it's like the monsters are controlling people or people are controlling the monsters. This is my headcanon. It's like government conspiracy. They went and destroyed the city that Harvey is from and forced everyone underground. And Harvey, and I'm sure other people who are from his city, were all captured and taken to this like underground facility to be experimented on. To what end, I don't know. That's my theory why he was in the hospital get up and down below. And everyone else is in this underground dystopia thing. And I think that I'm assuming that Kyung and Harvey, and maybe they're gonna bring along Kai. I hope they do. I want him to have friends. I feel like they're all gonna get to the surface, and it's gonna be like, I don't know. This is what I'm pulling out of my ass, but I feel like they're gonna be told like, oh, the surface is destroyed or something, and they're gonna get there and it's fine, and they're just like in some weird experiment. That's my theory from what I've read. Okay, I'm on the right track. Cool. And I think that means you've set down the right stuff. Like, I really like how you've set up a lot of intrigue so that, you know, the reader can start to try and piece these things together. And obviously, like, you know, they won't get everything, but yeah, I think you've done a good job with, like, leaving breadcrumbs for people. Did I miss anything? Okay, how did I feel about the artwork? The painting style, filters, colors, background, shading. Is there anything that looked like a mistake? I don't think so. I think everything was very clear. Is there any anatomy stuff? Not that I saw. And the backgrounds? Honestly, I think everything feels super balanced. It works really well. These webcomics are sent via Patreon perks. They are. So there should be a link down below if you want to look into it. But we do these streams monthly and we can look at your comic or your script or character designs. Yeah, but I thought all of the backgrounds were great. I know you had, in a later note, you weren't sure about the coloring for the spare room because you said like it's very like kind of green and cold, and you weren't sure about it. I liked the different lighting for the different rooms. I think it helps set them apart. Honestly, I think you have a very good like every room in the house that we've seen, because we see like the spare room, I think they're in like a sitting room in the last scene, we've got the hallway, and they go into the kitchen, where it all feels like it's in the same house, but I like the use of the different lighting to kind of make each room distinct, whereas like the features in the house, like the flooring and the walls and stuff, like it feels very like it's part of the same house. But the different lighting and color helps differentiate it. And honestly, I like the green in the guest room because it makes it feel kind of like, it kind of feels like, what am I thinking? Like a reflection of like Kyung and Kai's relationship, where it's like, it's kind of strained. And you mentioned like, Kyung coming back there and like, you know, going on benders and being sick on the couch and stuff. It just feels kind of like a representation of like his mindset and like the problems with their relationship. And it also feels kind of like strange, because like Harvey's new to it. it feels a little hostile, if that makes sense, with the green lighting. I'm curious if through the cleaning process, and maybe, I mean, I don't know how long they're going to stay here, but maybe as they like clean it up and feel more comfortable with each other, because they do kind of connect more when they get to the cooking scene, maybe the lighting becomes a bit more warm, like how it is in the kitchen and in the hallways. The hallway's great with the laundry machines because it's very, it still feels warm, but it's still kind of like darker and moody while they have this discussion. And then once they, oh, sorry, I actually can't show it on screen, but the kitchen, it has like a more kind of like yellowish, warm, orangey feel to it, as the two characters are kind of connecting more. Their awkward relationship if it was represented by a room. Exactly. I like the idea of the lighting shifting. Yeah, totally. Because like you could go from like the green to the more warm, kind of orangey yellows, as the characters kind of get more comfortable. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'd say that. Because yeah, I personally didn't mind the green. I think it fit the tone pretty well. Oh, sorry, more questions. I'm like trying to come up with stuff. Oh right, the new language system. So I found that very easy to read. Where you're using the two different colors to show the different languages when there's like multiple languages being spoken in a scene. It works really well in the kitchen scene where Kyung is trying to speak Harvey's language, where he only knows a few words. That was really funny. I won't spoil, but what he says when he cuts his hair is so funny. Yeah, I found it very easy to follow and understand what was what. And bald. Really funny. I did find I can't remember if you were using the pink for thought bubbles. I think it works. It does help distinguish when they're speaking versus thinking. The only thing is that I would just be careful about the contrast. I felt it here in the guest room scene, and I think it might be clashing a little because it is so green in the background, which is the opposite of the pink. So it clashes a little, but I'm not sure if it's contrast, like light-wise, like if it's too similar in value, or if it's clashing or if there's a contrast issue because of the clashing colors. I'm not sure what it is. For me, it just feels like I think what I'm feeling is it feels like it stands out too much. Where it's differentiated, which is good, but I think it pulls attention a bit because it's so pink on the screen. Yeah, I think, depending on the lighting would really work. I've done that with our comic 9 Point, where I'll use different, for 9 Point, I decided to like have, depending on the scene, using different colors for all of the speech bubbles. I don't think we have any thought bubbles. But that was for the whole comic. Like every scene has like different colors. But yeah, but if you're having your thought bubbles be this kind of pinky purple color, yeah, changing it, like shifting it a little bit, depending on the lighting, I think is a really good idea. Because, yeah, when you're in like a really dark scene, it might help to make it lighter. If you're in, for example, this green kind of setting, you may want to pull it to, I'm not sure, you'd have to play around. You could pull it to more blue kind of purple. You might need to lower the contrast, not the contrast, the saturation. because a bright green and a bright purple will really clash. But if you say pull the purple to like a more kind of gray muted purple, that might help. But yeah, anyways, you can play around with it. But yeah, I think changing it a bit depending on the lighting is a really good idea. And I won't show it, but I love the last panel during the cooking scene where the steam is covering the thought bubble. I thought that effect was just really, really cool. And it made the thought that he's having feel very like important, which is awesome. Do you remember where color was clashing? Was it here with the arrows pointing to the mechanical piece? Because I think that works really well because it's shifting from the light to the dark where it helps with contrast. I think that works really well. Yeah. I also like how you use the painting effect on it as well, where it fits with the artwork really well. I didn't find the color shifting of the line work distracting. I found it just fits the atmosphere of the scenes really well. Where like, yeah, you've gone from this like kind of, it's a little bit blue, kind of gray, and then you go into like a more green kind of line work. I honestly just think that works really well. Where it, yeah, and then you've got like a more purple for this like darker scene. Yeah, I think honestly, like I didn't even notice it, so I think it just blends in really well. Yeah, about the final thought bubble. Yeah, totally, it stood out so well. And then the painterly style. Ways to improve it. I can't think of anything specific. I like the texture of the painterly stuff. I find there's some places where it's like nice and subtle, like I really like it on his shirt here. Or even in this kind of like darker lighting, I like how there's little shifts in the color using the painterly stuff. I think there's some places, I wouldn't say for like these pages, because they're not super dramatic, if that makes sense. Like they don't have like big dramatic reveals or like melodrama, so like you don't need to go like super stark lighting, where this is more kind of like soft and subdued, which I think works. I think there's some places where maybe you could bump up the contrast in the shading. For example, I'm thinking the dream. But even then, I don't really think so. Because there's a really nice shift in like the lighting as it goes from like them talking to like the dark kind of nightmare reveal. So for example here, where the monster has him, you could maybe bump up the highlights from below, because we're getting like the flash from this light that's like engulfing the farm. Like it could maybe be brighter and you could darken the shadows, but I don't know if that's necessary, because it's a kind of nightmare where it's supposed to be very dark and ominous. But I think that's just something to consider, just kind of like really upping the contrast during dramatic scenes like that. That just might be me from making horror comics where like I'm like super stark black and white stuff. I've considered going full lineless, but I have no idea where to start. I really like line, and I also like painting, which is why it's hard to let go. Yeah, it is hard. It's a hard choice. I really like your line work, so I'm happy to see it. And I think you've got a good mix where like you've even painted over some of the lines. I don't know. Yeah, you'd have to really think of what you want to do with it, because lineless has its perks, I think, where I think it really allows you to experiment with color, because that's what we've done with 9 Point, where it's all lineless. There's some lines here and there because like obviously I need it for faces and like some details, but it really forces you to use color and contrast quite a bit, which I really enjoy. So it's totally up to you. It's like, I want it to be brighter, but it's night. I couldn't make up my mind. That's fair. Night scenes are hard. I find this is something I personally need to work on more, but I find if you look through, like, if you go like look at movies and stuff with night scenes, I guess it depends on the movie. Some of them light them like freaking there's no light and it's all just black. But you can find night scenes where you still have lots of contrast going on. There's still like bright highlights and dark shadows. But they'll just shift the colors over to maybe like a more blue or purple or green, whereas daytime it's more kind of like you know, more white light or like yellow, orange, warm colors. It's definitely hard. It's definitely hard. But yeah. Because I think even if you added in like the gold and yellow from the light as like highlights on here, I think because you have such these like vivid blues and purples in the background, I think it would still read as like it's nighttime, but you're getting this like orange, you're getting this light shining from underneath. Because I love the contrast here where we see him looking off into the dark and we see the bright light. And you've got like a little bit of it reflecting off his face and his hair and stuff. Yeah, so just more of that. Okay. Okay, I think I've covered everything you asked about. There was one thing I wanted you to consider. There's one panel that stood out to me, but I might just be... I don't know. Okay, so I think I'm talking about my butt a little bit here. But I thought this bit, because when I read through your scene summary, I noticed there was a lot of emphasis put on this discussion they have right here, where like they go into the guest room. Kyung is like, haha, it's not clean in here. You haven't been in here for like 5 years. Is it because you don't have any other friends? And Kai is like, yeah, I don't. And then it's kind of played for comedy, where Kyung is like, oh, you know, it makes him look like a dummy. And I noticed in the summary, you really kind of like hung a lantern on it in that Kai, you know, doesn't have other friends. And then Kyung quickly changes the subject. I'm wondering, you know, obviously not this scene because you've posted it, but in future scenes, I wonder like if you have this like intense moment where like even if afterward it gets played for comedy, like you could quickly go to him being, you know, a bit of a goofball and changing the subject. I wonder if like you know, an intense scene like this where, you know, he's like, haha, you don't have any friends. You could maybe, instead of doing this like kind of pulled back from the side, which speaks very much to comedy, if you did maybe like a close-up of Kai's face where he maybe looks a bit annoyed or even sad and says like, no, I don't. And then maybe have like a little moment of like, I think this panel where he says, no, I don't, could be broken into two, where maybe you get a close-up of Kai and he says, no, I don't. And then you get the reaction of Kyung looking shocked and embarrassed, I guess. And then you can go into comedy, maybe. Obviously, like, that might not be your intention. I might be reading into it too much. But, yeah. I think taking time when you have, like, a more serious character thing, because, like, I don't know. In my heart, I'm like, I want all three of them to go on an adventure together, become friendos. Yeah. also thought, I'm thinking of this too because you were saying how like you condensed some of the scenes down a little bit because you didn't want you're focusing on using less pages per scene. I thought this bit, so like I said, I do really like how this information is dropped where Harvey says like the whole city was built in 6 months, and then Kai is confused. Right, so yeah, sorry. I like how the information is dropped and then we pick up with it later, which I think works really well. I feel like it needs a beat here on this page, or maybe the next page, I don't know, where I like this panel where they're talking. He's like, you have any questions? He says, was this whole place built in 6 months? And then Kai is confused and he drops the information that like that's been around for 2 decades. I feel like it needs just a beat where maybe Harvey looks confused, or maybe Kai and Kyung exchange a look being confused. It ends very quickly and then we go into the dream scene. Yeah, I think it's just like, because it's such like an interesting piece of information, it feels like it just needs to be like highlighted a little bit. Kind of like how in the kitchen scene, that like last panel gets like a visual highlight because it's like an important decision being made by Kyung. Does that make sense? There's some eventual scenes where they get to see the no friends thing elaborated. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Very ostracized by their peers. Oh, poor Kai. Baby. Okay. That's fair. You're setting it up, so don't let me talk you out of it. But yeah, I think that's all my thoughts. If you have any other questions, please let me know. If there's anything I skipped over or didn't talk about. But yeah, I like this comic. It's really cool. I was trying to condense as much as I could in this scene, so definitely some rushed bits. Last panel was initially split into 2, where he looked confused in the first panel. Gotcha. Yeah, I think just like, yeah, it's hard because I know the feeling where you're like, I want to condense because you don't want to have like extra panels that aren't necessary. But yeah, but I think, yeah, when you drop like a big piece of information, having that little like moment, I think it really helps kind of highlight like, this is weird, reader, pay attention to it. Yeah, the page was crowded, so I cut it down. Fair. No, I get your thought process behind that. Yeah, but yeah, let me know if you have any other questions. Also, while Kairos is thinking, who would like to go next? Because we have BlanketGremlin, we have BattleBox, Ink, and Kuroe. So I think someone said they were away, but I can't remember who. Additional questions? I don't know. Do you think the monster design is cool? It's very cool. I like it a lot. Yeah, the mask is very cool. I can't remember. Did the monster that we saw earlier have a similar kind of mask thing going on? I struggled with the colors for a while and decided they should be red. I like it. I think the red really works. Because it stands out against like the green. And it works well with Harvey's coloring as well, where he's got these kind of like darker warm tones. Where it brings some kind of like connection between the foreground characters versus like the very cool colors of the background. Yeah, it's really cool. Like, I like how it's very hidden. We don't get a very good look at it. But we get enough information where it's like there's a mask, there's like these like streamer mane things. It looks super tall, like the fact that it's like bent over and its back is so high up, like that's so creepy. And it looks like it has more than 4 limbs. Like it's nice and like hidden enough that you're like, oh, what is that? But you still get enough where you're like, oh, this is cool. It does, but it's more coincidental. The monsters don't have any design through line. Oh, okay. As a lore preview, there are 2 types of monsters, sentient ones and not. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. Also, small detail, but I really love it. I love how the claws are rectangle, like they're kind of squared off at the ends. They're not like, obviously they're probably sharp, but they don't have like pointed ends, and that matches well with like the streamers coming off the mask. Like that's just a nice little touch. And the little square nose. Very good. Okay, the first monster is more mindless. And the second one here can talk. Oh, interesting. Interesting. That's so cool. It's a cool design. It feels like it could take off the mask and you'd be like freaking terrified of what's underneath. It's also interesting that the eyes are closed. It reminds me of like, I don't know, like a death mask kind of thing. It's creepy. He's a creepy little guy. I guess he's a big guy. He's very tall. Yeah. You're on point with the death. Very good. See, that just means you're doing a good job. If I can guess all your stuff, you got it. Awesome. Okay. If there's any more questions, let me know. Getting more into specific terms of the monster. Oh, we'll be hopping in the next thing. Oh, cool. I'm excited. I'm excited to see. Hell yeah. Cool. Okay, awesome. If you have any more questions, let me know. Otherwise, I should probably keep going. I'm good. Thank you for the crit. No problem. Thank you for submitting. Okay. I saw our friend BlanketGremlin, so I'm gonna jump to you if you're here. Make yourself known. But otherwise, I'll just start critiquing. I think you were the one who said you weren't here. But you? In case I missed this stream, I'm traveling. Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, well, I'll jump into it. And I'm present. I was watching Hunter x Hunter. Very good. Ink, would you like to go then if you're here? Can I come back to BlanketGremlin? Oh, you're here. Oh, shoot. Well, now you have to fight it out. Okay. Bed squatter. Sure. Fight. Like it can go. Okay. Thank you, Ink. All right. Okay, so yes, this is a few different pieces about the same character. This, Waltic fella. Okay, first image is the reference sheet. Oh, I appreciate you giving me the black and white version. And then the side comic. The side comic is so cute. Okay. The name on the images is a reference. Okay, so he's Walter Onsor. And his name gets changed by Toki to Waltic. Sorry for the— oh, don't worry. Don't worry at all. You're good. For being too normal. Yeah, no Walters. Must become Waltic. She just forces the others to use the name. That's cute. Okay. So we have our Waltic. Okay. So he does missions. I get doctor vibes from him. I think it was when I was looking at this, the side comment where so the character who sucks his thumb and he's like, if you suck your thumb, we should go break off. I thought that was fun. I think I'm just reading doctor because he's like doing the little first aid kit on the little guy. Wait, is his thumb broken? Did he break his own thumb? Is that what I'm reading? I just realized. I thought he was telling the kid not to do it because he'll break his thumb. Either way, very funny. Okay. Okay, but he's part of the agency. The mission agency. Huh. Okay. So never mind my doctor read. Right. He's got his apron. Okay, so he did break his own thumb. What a silly guy. Oh, okay, so he was an emergency responder before his license was revoked. Okay, so maybe I am getting doctor vibes from him. Right, and then disaster seems to follow him. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. So he's a bit of a drifter. He has medical training. And disaster follows him. Interesting. It's hinting to a concept I based him on, but certain conditions where people lack the inhibitions that keep them from unconsciously hurting themselves. Oh, interesting. Okay. Is it kind of like it goes along with that, like, misfortune motif? Huh. I see. Is it that thing that I've heard where it's like you have the ability to like bite through your finger, but most people won't because it hurts and our brain is like, no, that's bad. Yeah, okay, interesting. Okay, I should do a personality read before I go and look at the notes that you sent. So I feel like he's very... he gives gentle vibes. He's got this like very soft face. And he seems just kind of nice and sweet. There's also just this very kind of like normal guy vibe to him. Yep, and an allusion to his concept theme. Oh, interesting. Right, where he looks like an average guy, if that makes sense. It feels like he would like blend into the background kind of thing. And I wonder, maybe I'm pulling that because he has like the boring name that like Taki changes. But yeah, he just feels like he would kind of blend into the background. Kind of thing. But yeah, he has a very kind of like gentle, sweet vibe to him. I think it's because like his shapes are very kind of like rounded. He's got these like very soft eyes. He looks pretty like smiley, but he's not like exuberant, if that makes sense. He seems more reserved. Yeah, like I said, I got the doctor vibe from him. The apron is interesting. It definitely gives him like a... What's the word? That's a critical hit. Okay, cool. It's just, it gives him a very cozy vibe, the apron, where it feels like he's good, he'd be, maybe not good, but like he enjoys just doing like little domestic tasks, you know? Whereas like, I don't know, someone who's more adventurous would maybe have more like, I don't know, they'd be like Talkie, where they're wearing like shorts and shorts, shorts and their shirts and boots and stuff, like ready to go on an adventure. But he just looks very like homey and cozy. Okay, so that's my read on him. Okay, so he's introduced as the only and technically last hired applicant to the agency, working as a secretary and caretaker for the for the headquarters under strict conditions used by Henri, who refused to allow Walter to work or interact with any other members unless Henri is present. Okay, and he's not allowed to go alone on missions. And he won't say why. Interesting. The only clue would be Walter's appearance during nationwide news coverage of a train derailment. And Walter knowing some of Henri's past. Interesting. Ooh, intriguing. Okay. I want his design to come across uncomfortably normal compared to the other characters. It does. He looks like an average guy. Interesting. Okay, and he's not allowed on missions because he's a bit of a bad luck magnet. Neat. I will say, I really like in his design sheet, his more kind of smoothed out hair. Because I see in like this little character card, his hair is a bit more wavy and it looks a bit longer. And then in the little comic, it's still very short, but it's got a bit more like little bits sticking out, more kind of fluffy. I do really like how kind of like smoothed down it is and how short it is. I think it just gives that very like nondescript guy feeling. It makes him feel like a little bit more put together, where maybe like the more adventurous characters have a bit more of that like fluffy hair look. Yeah, I really like it here. It's very smooth and like tucked back kind of thing. I like his colors. They work really well together. Where everything's this very kind of like warm brown gold kind of color. And then you got a bit of the red in the eyes. And I could see from the colored sheet, I won't show it because there's some blood. And YouTube would be mad. But yeah, there's a nice kind of balance between like the more kind of reddish pink, because he's got like the pink apron. He's got some kind of like pink red coloring to his eyes, but they still read as kind of brown. And then he's got like the blonde hair. He's got the gloves, the little cleaning gloves he's putting on are yellow. But it's like a nice subdued yellow. It's not like the bright kind of lemony yellow that you'll see on like dish gloves and stuff. He's keeping up appearances. Yeah, totally. That's the vibe. What am I thinking here? Right, yeah, the colors work really well together. That's all I'm trying to say. They're nice and subdued. I also like how there's some like his apron looks worn, because you mentioned that he's had it since... Oh, sorry, it belongs to Henri, who's had it since childhood. I like how it looks worn. There's kind of some like stains on it, and the kind of fluffy decoration on it is like kind of frayed. I think that's a nice little detail. But yeah, his colors work well. There's good contrast between all the different parts. Yeah, I think it works really well. Did you have any... He borrowed the apron and gloves. Very good. Okay, that makes sense. Right, because if he's supposed to stay home and clean, that would make sense. Did you have any questions that I didn't cover? Is there anything you were wondering? I also, okay, I know he's on like the good team, and I'm assuming he's not bringing misfortune with him maliciously. But I wonder. I also get... I feel like he could flip and be an evil guy. I don't know why. I feel like he could come across very menacing if he wanted to. But maybe that's just me. I wonder if the splatter looks alright? I think so. Yeah, the splatter works. Yeah, because looking on the colored version of the reference sheet, like the color works really well. It is interesting because if he's supposed to have some kind of like, you know, some bloody incidents, if bad things are following him around, I do like how the color of his eyes matches with like the blood. That's really interesting. I think, yeah, I think that's a good choice if he's gonna have plenty of scenes where like he gets splattered with blood. Like I think it works well. His characters mostly focus on the symptoms of ignoring everything else, but one specific thing that keeps him grounded to reality. Interesting. Because you do have, like, the example of him being petrified and disassociating. So yeah, okay, that's interesting. Is it like he's very... He maybe comes across as very spacey, but it's more kind of like a trauma response? Or maybe he puts on like a bit of a cheery face, but he's actually dealing with some big stuff. He's bad at handling stress. Oh, relatable. Gotcha, okay. So maybe when he's really stressed, he like shuts down? Or is he the kind of character where like they maybe put on a happy face even though just to kind of like, they're like, I'm pushing it down, I'm not feeling it. The one thing I'm not sure about with this like little splatter thing you've drawn is this little white bit of shine here. But I don't know. Just if you have light reflecting off it, like it's wet blood, the light would kind of follow the like surface tension of the liquid, if that makes sense. So like it would where it's like more where the blood's more thick. I mean, it would be the same as like a drop of water. Where like the edge of it, where it's like a bit thicker, would have some shine to it, and then where it's been like smeared out and thinned, there'd be less shine on it. But I figure you already know that. He's aware of this quirk, but focus on his own self than anything else stressed out. Oh, interesting. So he kind of goes like inward? And maybe doesn't focus on like if he's in a situation with someone else, he's more focused on himself than the other person? Whereas like another character, their instinct would maybe like go to the other person and make sure they're okay kind of thing. I did try to make the source of it darker. Okay, gotcha. His own self-preservation is his top priority, whether he's aware of this fact or not. Aw. Bubbly. Bubbly boy. Gotcha. Interesting. I guess that would make sense if you're being followed around by disasters. It might be easier to just focus on yourself than like focusing on other people. But it's an interesting character trait. Was there any other questions that I didn't cover? I love this comic, it's so cute. That's all, thank you so much, no problem. Thank you for submitting. Alright, Ink. Let's hacking go! Alright, so you have a couple of sections for my comic. First, the first is a perspective background scene. The second is a work in progress of a large-scale battle. A 2-page spread. For the second one, I'm wondering if there's any ways to better push the composition and focus. And since it's horizontal, is there any advice to depict that on Webtoon? Ooh. Game time. Let's go. Okay, so this is... Oh. Oh, that's scary. Okay, so we've got our main characters here. They're so cute and little. Okay. That's horrifying. Ink, what has happened? What happened? I picked a couple pages I thought went well. Seeing if the holes can be poked in. Okay, seeing if they can have holes poked in them. Gotcha. This is horrifying. Have they been taken over by, like, fungus? Or, like, sealed in stone? That's so creepy. I'm currently uploading my webcomic on Tapas as I see the stream. Hell yeah. I hope the update goes well. Are you launching a comic or doing, like, an update? Okay. Yeah, Ink, this is horrifying. What have you done? You heckin' writers and your pain you cause. Okay, so what I'm reading is there was like a battle. This is like a city. Or part of a city. And it looks like there's like big monsters that were attacking. It's made of obsidian, so hard material. That's a landscape that can be walked on. That's scary! But I like it. Okay, interesting. Part of a city, gotcha. Okay, because it looks like, it feels very much like Pompeii, kind of, where it's like something big happened and it was all sealed in obsidian. I'm curious. Okay, I don't know why I read it as like fungus. I think it's the texture that you've added, because I see, okay, because I think, are the little white dots supposed to be kind of like sparkles, like it has like a bit of a glitter effect to it because it's stone? It's a one-shot for the Global Comic Award. Oh, nice. I hope it goes well. Sparkle, gotcha. Okay. Because the way I was reading it is I thought it was like, not spores, but like, I think there's something about it that feels very organic, and I'm not sure why. I think you can keep the sparkle stuff. You could maybe go in and add a few like shinier bits, like places where you've got your highlights laid down, so like the top of the monster, like the peaks of some of these like people and buildings, where it's like covering the buildings. Maybe adding like a little bit of like either like some brighter bits of like sparkle, because I like kind of the organicness you've got going. Like some maybe, or some kind of like lens flare star stuff to make it really like really look like kind of shine and sparkle. But yeah, adding some like little brighter bits to where they had highlights and there's light hitting it. And I think you might need to go over what you've done, because I think this is all great. But I think you need to go in and give it some kind of like a bit of a glossy feel to it, if that makes sense. So like take some of these little details and like let me quickly just look up obsidian so that I kind of know how to describe what I'm talking about. So like if we look at this, like open image in new tab. Because if you look at this, you've got some you've got some little bits of sparkle, so like you had. So I think you got that right, where you've got the little specks in it. But I think you need to go in like with a slightly different color. Maybe darken some of the shadows, like maybe take your purple, darken it a little bit. Maybe bring in some more blue, possibly. That might help make it feel dark without going black. Because it's sorry. Thinking out loud. Right, because obsidian, I like how you've brought it to purple because it fits with your color scheme for your comic really well. But I think you just need to bring in like the glossiness from this, because you've got yeah, I think it's like a texture thing that needs to be added, where it you get these very like jagged kind of cutouts of like highlight, these very distinct pieces of like rock face, where like right here, can you see my cursor? I hope you can. You've got this like little triangle where the shadow's hitting. We've got like this little concave bit where light's coming in. This bit faces the light, so we have it, and then the top is more shadowed because the light's not hitting it quite. But we still have like little bits around the edges that have like a bit of like a highlight, kind of glossy shine. I think that just needs to be brought into it a little bit more, where like I think you need to go in with like a bit of a hard edge brush and go in and add some of this like some really dark shadows, some more kind of glossy light bits where the light is hitting. Yeah, I think kind of making your shadows a bit more geometric might help make it feel like rock. Because there's lots of organic shapes going on. So yeah, so I think if you use kind of geometric, kind of sharp lined, sharp corners for the shadows and highlights, I think that would really help. That's either the exact ref or similar one I'm trying to emulate. Perfect. Yeah, because I think you're on the right track color-wise. I think it just needs a bit more kind of gloss and geometric shape to like the gloss and shadow. Yeah, because it's very... The shading is very soft. There's some parts that you've done some like kind of harder lines for highlights and stuff. But a lot of it feels very soft, very organic shapes. Yeah, I think you need to go in with like and put some more geometricness in. Make it a little less kind of curvy and organic, because I think that'll help make it feel like rock. And because it's such a big scene, yeah, I think you can continue what you've done, where like the background, as it goes further back, it gets less distinct, but this stuff at the front I think needs like kind of like a higher fidelity treatment with like the texture. I wonder if maybe for the... So I like the distinction between the sky and the landscape, where the sky is all black and then the landscape is very purple. I wonder if, like, I wouldn't go too black, like, kind of where the sky meets the horizon, just because, like, you want that distinction. But maybe down here, where it's closer to the characters, you could bring in some of that black color from the sky, the black and gray, and bring it into the shadows a bit. You might want to like make it a little lighter, so it might come across a bit more gray, or bring some more purple into it. But I think bringing the sky colors in, I think will help give it that obsidian feel. This is so cool and creepy. I like it. Cool. Did you have any questions about this one? Is there anything I didn't cover? Texture was the main thing. We got it. Cool. Okay, right. So this is like a 2-page spread kind of thing, if it was in a book. Right, so it's a battle scene. Okay. Right, and you're wondering about pushing the focus. It's very cool. There's lots of great movement going on, and I think like because when you grab like when you're reading a book, comic, and you see a splat, like a 2-page spread, like you want it to have lots going on, because the rule for paneling is like the larger a panel is, the more time they'll take to look at it. So if it's a small panel, you know, if you want something to be paced really quickly, use little small panels. People will look at them for less time. If you want like a big dramatic moment or to show lots going on, like in this battle, 2-page spread is a great choice for it. So I like how much is going on in this, where like you've got some little vignettes of stories going on, where we've got like these tentacle magic things coming out of the buildings up front here. We've got people fighting. We've got like it looks like these soldiers from this town. We've got people like these bat dragon people coming in from here and chasing them down. There's people being hit by spells. They're fighting over here. We've got this big dragon thing up top, people falling off the walls. Like, there's just so much going on. There's lots of little stories between all these, like, different characters and what's happening. So I think that's a great use of this page. I like how the fight pieces we need need to focus are lit up. Agreed. Like, I do like how you have these little lit up bits. And it creates a pretty good flow, kind of like between what's going on. Because, yeah, having all this happening can be very overwhelming. Where you're like, I don't know where to look. But I think, yeah, your use of light has really helped direct where to look. So we've got like this little focal point here at the front with like the people being like stabbed through by the magic tentacle stuff. We've got the same thing here. I really like how we've got the little magic highlights from the bat dragon. And it kind of brings you through in this little, it's not quite an S, but this like squiggle through the page. So you're not, you're not just going down one side, you're kind of looking through the whole thing. I think your use of perspective and leading lines helps you kind of bring you through the piece, where you can follow the lines through and then up and around. You've got, the people falling off the wall. They're kind of in this like, this more organic shape coming down. It brings you to like this building, and then you look down to these characters, and then over here, and etc. And it brings you around the page, which is great compositionally. You want the eye to be brought around through everything. So I think you're doing a good job there. And even though everything is very chaotic, and you obviously have characters from like different factions, there's different people, we've got like a green person and a pink person. We've got people in the armor. We've got like the bat people. We've got some like blue laser beams and purple magic and blood and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, even though there's all this like different stuff going on, the colors feel very cohesive. Where the different elements stand out, like the buildings stand out against the ground. They stand out against the wall. The dragon stands out from the sky. The characters stand out from the background elements, but then there's places where like, you don't need to focus on the characters, so they still blend in a bit with the background, because they're in shadow, like down here in the corner. But even though there's all these different colors, you still have done a good job with like making the colors all feel very cohesive and work together really well. I think the only color thing that stands out, these laser beams that they're shooting are very bright. And I do like how you have another patch of blue over here where there's some like magic going on. But I might tone down the blue here. It does pull a bit of focus. I think it's like the right color. It's just a bit too vibrant compared to the rest. So I think if you pulled back on that color a little bit, I think that would work really well. Because I feel like the focal color is these purples, these like purpley pinks from like the magic and the monsters, and then the dragon. Whereas like the blue is a more secondary color, or I guess a tertiary color because it's very much used for highlights. The only other thing I'm noticing is there's some overlapping where building lines are showing through characters. I would just quickly go through and like clean those up a bit. But it looks like there's still some stuff that's being colored, so I'm probably nitpicking, just a work in progress, like you said. Oh right, because this is a whip, so yeah, of course you're gonna get rid of those. Sorry. Okay, and then the other question you had was, it's a horizontal scene. Is there any advice for depicting it on Webtoon? So that is hard because, yeah, it'll be, if you presented it like this on Webtoon, it would be really tiny. And I think you would lose this kind of like chaotic scene if you just put it as is. I'm adding shading under the buildings and characters. The shading is just overlay showing where I want to put focus. Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. The current idea for webtooning it is making a bunch of pictures leading up the 2 pages vertically, like small bits. Left page full, right page full. So far I've done the full page, and those have been alright. Okay, that could work. I might even... I'm wondering if you could maybe split this into like maybe 3 pieces? Yeah, I'm wondering if you could do, because I think if you just did the 2, it would still be kind of short on a webtoon view, but I think if you split it into like 3 vertical slices, because then we'd see like the dragon coming over, we'd see the people shooting here, the next scene we get like the magic stabbing people, and then the third is like the enemies coming in and people being pushed off the walls and stuff. And I think that's a good way to kind of like end it out. I could try 5 to 7 small pieces that lead up to showing the whole thing. Yeah, totally, like snapshots. Definitely. Because I think I love the dragon flying over. I wonder if maybe you could do like a vertical slice so that we see like the dragon coming over the wall. We see people fighting here and we get a glimpse of like these tentacles attacking people. Because then you get a nice, if you're webtoonizing it, you get a nice kind of like vertical slice where like as I'm scrolling down, I'm like, oh god, there's this dragon, and oh god, there's all these people being shot, and then oh god, there's like a horrible tentacle monster. And it's a nice kind of like flow through the main action, and then maybe bringing in some of those snapshots where maybe we get like a close-up of this and like a close-up of like, you know, the different enemies coming in, and this one over here, like you're saying, the different snapshots. I think that would work really well because you get the kind of overwhelming feeling of like this battle happening when you get like the full view of like the vertical slice, and then yeah, the snapshots to kind of show like the horror, the horrific stuff that's happening. I think that maybe that would work. I have seen webtoons where they'll have, I think it would be a bit more horizontal to this, but I've seen where they'll take a scene like this, like a big battle that's happening over like a very like horizontal, and they'll flip it so that you're kind of reading down and everything's like on its side. I've seen that could work, but I feel like that would be really hard to translate to a book that feels like it's developed for webtoon or webtoon format. Now that I think about it, yeah, you could also do the snapshots first and then show the slice of the dragon. Because maybe it's like, oh, horror stuff, horror, awful things, fighting, blah, blah, blah. And then, oh god, big dragon. Ah. Yeah, anyways. Yeah. I think the best bet is the vertical slice of the main action plus snapshots, whatever order clicks when I'm testing it. Yeah, totally. Totally. But yeah, this is so cool. There's so much action going on. But yeah, really well layered out. So much cool action happening. Yeah. Did you have any other questions? Is there anything that I didn't cover? Damn, this stuff is so cool. What the heck, Ink? Why are you making such cool stories? Big thank. I think that covers it. Awesome. Well, thank you for submitting. Hello, BattleBox. All right. Oh, BattleBox. We have you and Kuroe. So I think you get to go first. And then we'll look at Kuroe's last. I gotta give my characters trauma. You freaking writers are evil. You do evil things. Evil, mean things to your characters. Okay? Why can't we live in fanfic land where everyone just snuggles and has a good time? Huh? Huh? Fanfic writers are bad too. You all do bad things to characters we love. Freaking writers. Bad people. Bad. If you ever see a writer, you tell them that they're bad. They're a bad degenerate who makes characters suffer. Ooh. I'm in no rush. Got the new Spy Anya game. Nice. Or, sorry, is it Spy Zanya or Spy X Anya? Also, hi, Kuroe. Okay. Battle books. Battle box. Let's go. Okay. I've submitted a short comic sharing my D&D character Ivana's backstory. Oh, cool. For context, the setting is the early years of Faerun. The campaign is The Curse of Strahd. No spoilers, though. Okay, cool. Love to hear feedback on the pacing, spacing, paneling, and if I captured the emotions of the dramatic scenes. Okay. Hola! Spy X Anya, Spy Family. Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. I thought it was that, but, you know, I'm not in on the know. I'm kind of a old lady who doesn't know things. Okay. So. I thought the pacing was great. I think you did a very good job with setting up the family dynamic quickly, where we get a really good sense of like everyone's relationships with each other, where you very quickly see Ivana you know, is looking at magic and hiding things, and that she's a bit more like on good terms with her dad, and he's more supportive, but the mom is more harsh and critical. And then we've got the little sister who seems very like sweet and bubbly, and nothing bad happens to her. So yeah, where I think we get a really good sense of like how all the characters interact, where like the mom seems like she's the head of the household, and Ivana is kind of like a bit of a rebel, blah blah blah. I think there's a good setup of like conflict between the characters, but like they're still very understandable, where like the mom is a bit mean but I feel like it just comes out of like worrying about her kids. Yeah, I get her. I don't love it, but I get her. And yeah, so I think you did a good job setting up the characters, and then she goes off to the... I think there's a really good sense that like the sisters really care about each other, and that Ivana is like standing up for her sister, who's maybe a bit more meek. But yeah, anyways, good sense of things, but they're still really friendly and cute. Yeah, and I think you did a good job building up the atmosphere with like the town, where she like bumps into the strange guy, and then you know, she goes and talks to the shopkeeper, and we get that creepy little smile thing in the window. Yeah, and then she leaves, and it's, you know, it's all creepy and quiet after like when she was going into the shop, we saw people running around and kids playing. And then she comes out and it's like, it's really quiet, and then she finds the vampire and it's all spooky. So atmosphere wise, very good, very well done. And I thought the pacing with, like, when she comes home and she finds the vampire and her family, I thought that was really well paced as well. Good, like, emotions and everything. Good tension. Right, where she gets home and she discovers the horrible scene. She grabs the weapon. Like, there's really good build up to everything happening. Where, yeah, she comes home. It's like everything's wrecked. There's blood. She picks up the poker, and then follows it through. And then she comes across the scene, and it's like, oh god. And yeah, bloody stuff. Right. And then the talk between her and the vampire guy is great. And the little fight between them. And then I freaking love how it ends where she wakes up. And there's, like, the pacing of this is so cool because, like, she blacks out, right? Because he bites her. He's taking her sister. She blacks out. Time passes. I think you did a good job with, like, pacing it with the screen size kind of thing, as you do with webtoon format. And then we see, like, oh, there's vines and birds and everything's peaceful. Oh, the window's all covered in ivy. That's crazy. And then we see her and she has ivy growing on her, and it's like, oh my god, how long has it been? But she wakes up. She's been turned into a vampire because he bit her, and she's like, oh my god, what the heck is happening? And we see that, like, the whole cabin is, like, completely filled with plants. We see that her family, her mom and her dad who were killed, have turned into, like, skeletons. And she's like, what the frick is going on? And she goes upstairs and she changes, and we get her, like, adventurer outfit, which is very cute. Yeah, and then obviously she's, like, setting out to get her revenge. Yeah, and I do like again, using the transition of, like, rain and clouds to show the passage of time, and she's got the graves for her family, and then she's like, I'm gonna go find my sister. Yeah. It's all cool. It's all cool and stuff. It's very well paced. There are a couple tiny critiques I have for the pacing, but I think, like I said, overall it works really well. So I think for the main scenes, so the main scene of, like, her facing down the vampire who's, like, killed her family and is taking her sister, I think, like I said, the tension of that is really well done. Like, there's good tension and build up, or, like, she doesn't immediately walk in and see, like, what's happened. We get, like, the drops of blood, we get, like, the doors open, we see her being worried, picking up the weapon. I think your use of, like, little panels, I'm gonna try and skip past the bloody stuff so YouTube doesn't get mad. Yeah, the little panels of her reacting and hesitating, I think, really help with, like, building that tension. And then when she's in the conversation with the vampire, she sees her family's been hurt. Yeah, there's great build-up where she comes in, he uses magic or something on her so she can't move. I used the sim for background help. I was like, oh, somebody pants. The Sims is such a great tool. You can set up rooms and then use it as reference. It's so good. The only thing I will say, and I said this before to someone else who's using them, sometimes the scaling in The Sims can be weird, so just be mindful of it. So, like, the one I always notice when I'm playing is that chairs are huge compared to The Sims. Like, they'll be sitting in, like, a little dining chair, and it'll be, like, twice the size of them. It looks like a little child sitting in it. And it depends on the furniture piece, so just be aware of that. Sometimes the scaling's weird. Ah, no! Blood, stop! Stop it! Bad. Right, but anyways, the conversation between them is really good. There's good tension where she's like... Also, I love this panel. It's really cool. I noticed that. Yeah, where she... he does some exposition stuff, and then she's able to like strike him, and then he fights back, blah 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 blah. Yeah, I think that's really well paced. The only thing I will say that I wish there was a bit more time spent on is when she wakes up. So I love the build up to like the reveal that she's been here for like a long time. I wish there was a bit more of a reaction to seeing her parents' bodies and seeing that her sister is gone. Because we do get a bit where like she's clearly crying and she turns away and stands up. But I think I just like want one more. I forgot to censor. That's totally okay. It should be fine. I feel like we're deep enough in the runtime that hopefully we won't get in trouble. But yeah, don't worry. It is also, it's possible to get away with it, like showing blood and gross stuff in artwork. But I guess like when it's like too much, YouTube is like, hey, none of that. Which is fine. Anyways, I wish there was like one more beat here where maybe she's like, oh my god, or like, how long have I been here, or like, no, or I don't know, something like that. Just one more little acknowledgement of like the horror of that's happened, because she's just woken up. For her, it's like it just happened. Yeah, and then she goes off and gets ready and stuff. Yeah. And the other thing, I think pacing wise, it comes earlier on when she finds the one vampire like attacking someone in the alleyway. I kind of wish there was a bit more. There was an acknowledgement of like who these people are, where it's like, is the person being attacked someone she knows? Because I'm assuming this is like a small town or a small village. And like, does she know the vampire? Because I was wondering, like, have these people been turned into vampires? Are these vampires coming in and attacking? Obviously she didn't know the guy she bumps into on the way in, who then attacks her family. But yeah, I think I just wanted to know, like, because when I was initially reading it, I was like, oh no, are there vampires coming in and turning people? But yeah, I was just curious if it's like, does she know this guy? And does she know the victim, kind of thing. But after that, it's good. Because yeah, she goes into the sunlight and the vampire can't follow and she runs home. So yeah, that's the two pacing things that I noticed. Yep, the spacing of the paneling was awesome. Really good tension build up, emotion stuff. The action sequences are so good. Like, you've got a really good sense of like when to use like a full body, when to do like a close-up of someone's face, when you're like building up emotion and stuff. Like I said, I love the expression where she goes to like attack the vampire. Yeah, and I think you do a good job with like setting up the normal, where we see like the family talking and bickering. Then we see the shop and we talk a little bit about the magic stuff, and then then we go into like the event, the bad thing that's happened that kicks off the story. Yeah. I think that's it. I think that's my thoughts. Did you have any questions? I really wanted to capture everything I could. I think you did a really good job. Yeah. She's so cool. But yeah, I love the idea of waking up, like, I don't know, years later, and you're a vampire and you're covered in ivy. That's just so cool. I'll submit next month an updated one, but this is all for now. Awesome. Well, thank you for submitting. Cool. All right, Kuroe. it's your turn. Okay. Hi. Okay, the first two are villain designs from Deity Wars, and the last one is Captain and Cupid at the end of Forlorn Hope. Gotcha. Looking for a general critique. For the Captain and Cupid piece, I'm not sure if the anatomy and perspective are off or not. Gotcha. Extra notes that aren't that important. Match's title is now Gar, not Jaren. And Endymion's title is now Hal, not Hagal. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So we got our villains. Okay. So we've got Matcha, or Macca. I love the color scheme here. I love this kind of like desaturated indigo color going on here. Okay, so I think... Right, so shape-wise, there's a lot of, like, kind of long rectangular shapes, which makes sense, because the main kind of, like, shape? Pattern? Thingy? is the stripes. So we've got the vertical stripes on the mask, we've got the horizontal stripes going down like the shirt, and then the arms and tails and feet. Right, and I like how blocky things are. So I like how the hair is, you know, blunted off. It's got like a kind of rectangular feel to it that match the stripes, the kind of rectangle shape of the stripes. And then same goes for like the cloak, where we've got the you know, this like cowl piece where it's oh, sorry, loud car. It's, you know, a rectangle shape up top. It's like blunted off. And then we have the rest of the cloak, which is like a big long rectangle. We've got, I think that's a really cool choice to have like the shirt broken up by like this kind of slice with the lacing on it. That adds like some nice little variation to it, so it's not just a striped shirt. And then you got some rectangle shapes going on in the pants as well. And I love the use of the purple for the hair, matches the inside of the coat, and then the skin is like a lighter version of this purple, and same with the tongue being the purple. I think that's just nice. And then everything else is very black and white. I will say, so I do think the hair, being in, I'm not sure if it's like braids or dreads, where I think having like the tail and the arms that look kind of like tentacles matching the shapes of the hair, where they've got that kind of waviness to them. Where I think that's a nice little echo shape, where they, you know, they've got the curves and the waviness to them, you know, the arms and the hair kind of thing, and the tail. The only thing is the points on the tail and the arms, they feel like a little too pointed. Now, I know there's other points in the design, because like they've got the sharp teeth, they've got the pointed ears. There's a bit on the blindfold, there's a bit of a like triangle shape going on, and then same with like the shape of the chin. Like it's got that kind of triangle pointed offness to it. But I think the tail and the arms just feel too pointed. Like, I think if they were, like, blunted off a little bit, like maybe a bit more round, it would help. They just feel so pointy compared to, like, the other triangle points in the design. I also find the arms and the tail and even the feet, like, there's so much nice little detail going on in the face and, like, the upper torso. I'd love to see a bit more going on in the lower half. Whether that's, like, adding... I'm not even sure. You could add in... I'm not sure. But, like, some kind of decoration, whether that's, like, you know, something to wrap around the arms, like a bracelet or wristbands or something. Some details on the tail, maybe bringing in this, like, idea of, like, the slices in the clothing and bringing in the lacing on the pants, or, you know, making boots or sandals or something. Just bringing in that nice detail that you have going on in the top half of the character and bringing it into the bottom half, I think would kind of elevate the design a bit. Because there's so much nice detail on the face. I love the little ear piercing. It goes so well with, like, the rectangle stuff. I bring some more of, like, the black and white into the face, so it's not all just this purple. But yeah, I think just some more detail going on in the body, especially the lower half, would really, really help it out. I also, like, I know that the other characters have, like, eyeball characters that follow them around. But I like how he got the blindfold. Or sorry, she's got the blindfold. I've been saying he this whole time. I'm sorry. She got the blindfold, and then she got the little eye monster. Yeah. I also like how the hair on the eyeball creature on Zizeli kind of matches the look of the fangs on Matcha. Where there's, like, the top fangs on the bangs, and then kind of like a like an echo of the shape on the bottom. I think that's neat. I like that. Did you have any questions about Matcha? Is there anything I didn't cover? The eyes are like magical companions. Yeah, totally. Little friendos. That's great, thank you. No problem. Alright, so let's look at Endymion. Endymion. Okay. It's their third eye. Oh, I like that. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. Interesting. Okay. I get, I get himbo vibes from him. But, like, not like that goofy kind of, like, himbo, more of, like, the very serious face, like, kind of dumb but sweet. That's the vibe I get. Okay, so the shapes are cool, because you've got these kind of rectangular oval shapes going on. Like, everything feels very rounded off, but it's still kind of, like, long and blocky. So like even the hair shapes are kind of made out of these like I said, the kind of rounded off rectangle shapes. And I like how you've built the hair that way. Pardon me. And then same with like the shape of the lips and the nose and the face. And then going into the body, the hands are really cool. Hand / forearm. Where they're just like very big versions of those shapes. And then you've even got it in like his thighs. And like the shape of his shirt and stuff, which is a bit more rounded off, or sorry, a bit more squared off. But I think that still works for the design. But yeah, there's some really eye-catching details on him where you've got these like pieces on his arms that feel like they're causing the, you know, like the big forearm / hand. You know, some kind of like magical booster thing, fighting booster thing. And I like how it matches his eye. I'd love to see more of that, honestly. Because it's very striking. They're magical augmentations. Okay, that's what I was thinking. I was like, these feel like things that change him to be stronger. But yeah, they're so striking and they stand out so well on the design. I'd love to see more, even if it's not like the same, because like obviously he doesn't have like magical augmentation stuff all over him. But I'd love to see more of these kind of like blue circle surrounded by black throughout the design. Even if it's just like some maybe like buttons on the boots or like some blue decorations on the pants. Like just kind of bringing a bit more detail into like the center of the design. Because like the last one, there's a lot going on in the face, which is awesome. I love what's going on with the arms. It's so striking. I just like to see the blue mixed with the black kind of like brought in a little more for the rest of the design. He has them on his legs, but they're only seen when he goes crazy. Oh, cool. Okay. Okay, so I can see you not wanting to like highlight it. But I think like maybe if it's not the circle kind of thing, just bringing a bit more blue through it. Because you've got the nice balance between like the gray and the warm skin tone and the blue on the eye. You got it going on in the arms, you got it going on in the face. I just think the body and legs are a bit plain. They need a bit more detail brought in. And I think it's cool that like once he powers up, you'd see like the augmentations, like I'm assuming the pants would go away or something, or turn into shorts or something, and you'd see the augmentation on the legs, which would be awesome. Oh gosh. Yeah, because I wonder if you even just brought in like a belt that like it could be covered in like blue gems, or like maybe have some blue striping, and then bringing some more details into the boots. I think even that would really like kind of bring out some more of the design going on. I also think I'd be curious to see if you maybe changed the t-shirt into like a sleeveless vest kind of thing. Because I understand using the t-shirt sleeve because it brings in that kind of rectangular shape, but I feel like it would highlight his arms more to like remove the sleeves so that we see like the whole arm. And then I'm wondering if you can bring that rectangular shape back in by either maybe making the shirt a little loose on him so it hangs kind of like rectangular on his body, or turning into a vest and maybe we see like an undershirt or showing off his chest or something. Like making it a bit more boxy around his middle. I think layering a vest would bring some of that kind of like visual interest in, but if it doesn't work for the character, then don't listen to me. Yeah. But yeah, I love the colors. Like I said, the face is fantastic. I love the hair. The hair shape is so good because it fits so well with the other shapes. And I love the arms. Like, that is so cool. Yeah. And then obviously his companion fits very well with the color scheme, where it feels very connected to like his augmentations. Did you have any questions on this? That's great, thank you, no problem. And then the last one. Captain and Cupid. Right. Okay, so you weren't sure about the anatomy and perspective. So I think the perspective is great, because we obviously have these two in the foreground. And the camera's looking down. Well, I mean, we're looking at them pretty straight on, but like, we're up. So we're looking down at the ground from the camera's perspective. Yeah. I love the detail in the background, by the way. It's subtle, like it doesn't pull away from the characters, but I like how you've got some like texture in for like, it looks like some shrubs and bushes. There's some grass. We've got the pathway. I like how there's like a little crack pulled out of it. It looks very worn. The sidewalk slices. I didn't draw the background. Shit. Well, you did good. Okay, but perspective-wise, the background fits with the foreground characters. Okay. Well, I think the shading that you put on the characters matches well with the background. Where I like how you've brought in like the green for the highlights, using the more blues for the shadows. I like how you've brought in some of the reddish kind of purples for the really dark colors. It just creates like a nice blend, and it works well with the background, obviously. I like the texture that you've put on the shadows, where it's very like brushed out and textured. I like how you've built up the highlights, where it's a very slow transition from like the shadows, very like brushed in, and builds up from like the, I'm looking at the arm here, but like, you know, we go from the blue to the green, and then we get like a nice kind of really pale green or yellow for the highlights. And I like how you've brought in some more kind of like glowy backlighting, where, yeah, I like how you've really softened it up, as compared to like the shadows that are on them, not from the kind of glowy sunlit background. Yeah, and I like how we've got some nice kind of like edge lighting, and I like how it blooms out here and there. It just creates like a lot of depth, some good atmosphere. And I like how it's lessened. We see a little bit of it where like we can see like the bicep beyond like her chin. Are these both women? I can't remember if they're both lady characters. But anyways, yeah, I like how we get a bit of the soft glow, and then it gets dimmed where like the bodies overlap. I think that's great. But yeah, the perspective on the characters works really well. You've got some good like stances going on in the posing, where like I like how Cupid's, I think it's Cupid is the smaller one. Am I getting that right? Where, right, there's the set of their shoulders. I like how it has like a bit of a tip to it, and then the hips go the other way diagonally. It just creates like an interesting, more dynamic pose. Same with the tilt of the captain's shoulders. Yeah, there's lots of good kind of like crisscrossing shapes that creates a lot of interest. And then anatomy wise, I think it works really well. Like they feel very solid. The only anatomy thing that stands out is I find the arm back here, like I think it's a mechanical arm. I find it curves a little bit too much. where I think it would be more straight. It looks like there's a bend in the forearm here, where it would be a bit more straight. You'd get the overlap of Cupid's butt over top, but it would still be a bit more straight right here on the forearm. So I'd leave the hand, I'd leave the left side of the arm, because the overlap on that really works. I would just like slice that down on the right side and make it look more like a straight line. The hand resting on the shoulder works really well. It's got some good perspective on it. Same with like the turn of the head. There's good overlap going on. There's nothing that feels like super wonky or weird looking. Like it all feels very structured. It all feels like it's in proportion and in perspective. Yeah. I love this little bit of light here where like I think it's very tempting when you have like a backlit scene to not light the front of the characters a lot. So I like how it's subtle. We've got some like subtle highlights on like their chest and like the hip. So we get the kind of shape because there is still light around them that's not just from behind. But I like that little touch of highlights there. That's really nice. Their expressions are really fun. It's very teasing. Is Miku okay? Oh, did she get licked too much by Lear? Oh, poor Miku. Yeah, we'll talk later. But yeah, I love the little line work details. I love the little like line work on the muscles and on the shirt details. Yeah, it's just really nice. Did a really good job with it. Did you have any questions? I also love the shine on the hair. I like how it matches the really kind of dreamy, blurred out light. It works really well. No, that's it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for submitting. And I think that's everyone. Yeah. Beautiful. Okay, well, thank you all. Okay, one sec. Thank you all for coming. If you yourself are watching this and you want your stuff critiqued, you can sign up through our Patreon. We do these streams every month, so next month you can get your stuff in. Link to the Patreon down below. Also, any of you who are listening, please check out our Kickstarter that's going on called I Spade You. We're like 2 days from the end, so you can go get some Ace comics and enjoy them. All right, I gotta go. Goodbye.